What if I told you that one small improvement done daily could make you 37 times better in just 1 year? Not 37% better, 37 times better. That's the math of habits. Tiny changes look insignificant at first, but when they compound over time, they create extraordinary transformation. And that's exactly what this video is about. Together, we'll explore the principles from James Clear's powerful book, Atomic Habits. I've divided this journey into 6 simple chapters. 1. The hidden power of small habits, how little changes shape your destiny. 2. The truth about progress, why success takes longer than we expect. 3. Goals versus systems, the secret to lasting results. 4. The 4 laws of behavior change, a practical roadmap for building habits. 5. How to apply habits in real life, designing your environment and boosting motivation. 6. My personal habit journey, the strategies I've used and how you can too. By the end, you'll have a clear system to create habits that stick, eliminate the ones that hurt you, and design a life you're proud of. So let's begin. Chapter 1. The hidden power of small habits. Most people believe that success comes from massive effort, big breakthroughs, giant leaps, and dramatic change. But the truth? Success is built in silence. It's the tiny daily actions, repeated over and over, that shape who you become. Think of it like flying a plane. Imagine a jet leaving New York aiming for Los Angeles. If the pilot adjusts the nose just 3 degrees, barely noticeable at takeoff, the plane will land hundreds of miles away in Mexico. That's what small habits do. At first, the difference seems invisible. You don't notice it after a week, maybe not even after a month. But give it a year, 5 years, 10 years, and your entire destination in life changes. Eating one unhealthy meal doesn't ruin your health. Reading 1 page doesn't make you a genius. Saving $1 won't make you rich. But repeat these choices day after day, and suddenly your future looks completely different. James Clear calls this the power of atomic habits, tiny atomic-level decisions that compound into massive transformation. He reminds us, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. That's why your focus should not be on sudden bursts of action, but on small, consistent habits that compound over time. So if small changes have this much power, why don't we always see results? Why do people give up too early? That's exactly what we'll uncover in Chapter 2, the truth about progress. Chapter 2, the truth about progress. Now that we understand how small habits can change our entire direction in life, let's face a frustrating reality. Progress doesn't always show up right away. When you start working out, you expect to see muscles in a week. When you begin saving money, you hope your account will grow instantly. When you start learning a new skill, you want to become good overnight. But real life doesn't work that way. The valley of disappointment. Progress in the beginning feels invisible. You put in the effort, you stay consistent, but the mirror looks the same. The scale doesn't move. Your skills don't improve fast enough. This is the stage James Clear calls the valley of disappointment. It's where most people quit. Think of it like planting a seed. You water it daily, you take care of the soil, and for weeks, nothing. It looks like nothing is happening. But underground, the roots are forming. And one day, suddenly the plant breaks through the soil. Habits work the same way. Small changes compound silently, and then one day the results explode into view. That's why patience is not just helpful, it's essential. The most powerful results of compounding are delayed. They arrive later than we expect, but much bigger than we imagine. Why big goals fail. Here's the problem. Most people expect linear progress, a straight line where effort equals results. But success looks more like a curve. At first, results are almost invisible. Then, as habits compound, progress skyrockets. That's why giving up too soon is the biggest enemy of success. You might quit right before the breakthrough. Imagine melting an ice cube. The room is cold at 25 degrees or out. You heat it to 26, then 27, then 28. Nothing happens. At 31°, still nothing. But when it reaches 32°, suddenly the ice begins to melt. Was it the final degree that made the change? No, it was all the small increases leading up to it. Habits are the same. You may not see results at first, but every action is stacking energy. The breakthrough will come. Key insight. James Clear explains, habits often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold and unlock a new level of performance. That's why the key is not perfection, it's persistence. Don't aim to be perfect every day. Aim to show up every day, because showing up keeps you in the game long enough for compounding to take effect. Now that we understand why progress feels slow and why persistence matters, let's go deeper into how we actually structure our growth. And that brings us to Chapter 3, Goals versus Systems. Chapter 3, Goals versus Systems. We've seen how small habits compound into massive results and how progress is often invisible before the breakthrough. Now let's talk about something that traps so many people: the obsession with goals. Why goals aren't enough. Most of us are taught to set big goals: lose 20 pounds, run a marathon, build a successful business. And while goals can give us direction, here's the truth: goals alone don't change your life. Why? Because both successful and unsuccessful people have the same goals. Achieving a goal is only a temporary win. Once the goal is achieved, motivation fades, and people often slip back into old routines. For example, let's say your goal is to run a marathon. You train, you push yourself, and you finish the race. Amazing. But what happens after? Most people stop running. The habit fades because the goal was completed. Systems. The real secret. This is where systems come in. A goal is about the result you want. A system is about the process that gets you there. The goal is to lose weight. The system is your daily exercise and meal routine. The goal is to write a book. The system is your writing schedule. The goal is to grow a business. The system is your daily marketing and customer work. James Clear says it powerfully: you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That means if you focus only on goals, you may succeed once but then fall back. But if you build the right systems, success becomes automatic and repeatable. Example: 2 paths. Think of 2 people with the same goal: to get fit. Person A says, "I want to lose 20 pounds." They focus on the outcome. They push hard for 2 months. Maybe they even reach it. But after the celebration, they go back to old habits. Person B says, "I want to become the kind of person who never misses a workout." They focus on the system. They may lose the weight more slowly, but they'll keep it off because fitness became part of who they are. That's the difference. Goals create temporary motivation. Systems create permanent transformation. The mindset shift. Here's the key takeaway. Goals are useful for setting direction. Systems are essential for making progress. So instead of asking, "What result do I want?" ask, "What process will I follow every day?" Because results don't come from intensity. They come from consistency. Now that we understand why systems are more powerful than goals, the question is, how do we actually build systems that work? That's where the 4 laws of behavior change come in. Simple rules that make good habits easy and bad habits hard. Let's explore them in Chapter 4. Chapter 4, The 4 Laws of Behavior Change. So far, we've learned that small habits have incredible power, progress takes time, and systems matter more than goals. But now comes the most practical part. How do you actually build habits that stick and eliminate the ones that hurt you? James Clear gives us a simple framework: the 4 laws of behavior change. Think of them as the rules for rewiring your brain. If you follow them, you can create any habit you want. Here are the 4 laws. 1. Make it obvious. 2. Make it attractive. 3. Make it easy. 4. Make it satisfying. Let's break them down one by one. Law 1. Make it obvious. Most of your current habits happen automatically. You don't even notice them. The first step to change is awareness. One way to build awareness is by creating a habit scorecard. Write down everything you do in a normal day, from morning to night. Then label each habit as positive, plus, negative, or neutral. Kaug. This exercise shows you the invisible patterns shaping your life. But awareness isn't enough. To build good habits, you need to make the cues obvious. For example, want to drink more water? Place water bottles where you'll see them. Want to read more? Leave a book on your pillow. Want to practice guitar? Keep it out of the closet and in the living room. The opposite is also true. To break bad habits, make the cues invisible. Hide the junk food. Leave your phone in another room while working. Out of sight, out of mind. Because as Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Law 2. Make it attractive. We repeat habits that feel rewarding. The more appealing the action, the more likely we are to do it. This is where dopamine comes in, the brain chemical that drives motivation. Dopamine spikes not when you get the reward, but when you anticipate it. That's why seeing a slice of pizza feels exciting even before you eat it. That's why thinking about a vacation can feel better than the trip itself. So to build good habits, you need to associate them with positive feelings. One strategy is temptation bundling. Pair something you want to do with something you need to do. Only watch Netflix while working out. Only listen to your favorite podcast while cleaning. Only drink your favorite coffee while reading. Suddenly, the hard habit becomes more attractive because it's linked to something you enjoy. Also, surround yourself with people who live the habits you want. If you want to get fit, spend time with fit people. If you want to read more, join a book club. We become like the groups we belong to. As James Clear says, your habits are modern-day solutions to ancient desires. When you reprogram your brain to see the benefits of a habit instead of the struggle, it becomes far easier to stick to it. Law 3. Make it easy. Here's the truth. The more effort a habit requires, the less likely you are to stick to it. That's why the best habits are the ones with the least friction. Examples. Want to work out? Lay your clothes out the night before. Want to eat healthy? Prep meals in advance. Want to save money? Automate your savings. James Clear also introduces the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes. Reading for an hour becomes read 1 page. Running a marathon becomes put on your shoes. Meditating daily becomes breathe deeply for 2 minutes. Because once you start, momentum takes over. The hardest part of any habit is beginning. And when it comes to bad habits, do the opposite. Add friction. Unplug the TV after each use. Delete apps that distract you. Leave your credit card at home if you overspend. The more inconvenient the bad habit becomes, the less likely you are to do it. Law 4. Make it satisfying. The final rule is perhaps the most important. If a habit feels rewarding, you'll repeat it. If it feels punishing, you'll avoid it. That's why tracking habits can be so powerful. Every time you check off a box on a calendar or move a marble to the completed jar, your brain gets a little hit of satisfaction. Small wins matter. They signal progress and tell your brain, this is worth repeating. On the flip side, if you want to break a bad habit, make it unsatisfying. Use an accountability partner, create a habit contract, or set a penalty. For example, if I skip the gym, I pay my friend $10. Pain is a powerful teacher. As James Clear puts it, what is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. Putting the 4 laws together. So let's summarize. To build good habits, make them obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. To break bad habits, make them invisible, unattractive, hard, and unsatisfying. This simple framework can be applied to literally anything, from fitness to work to relationships. Now the question is, how do we take these laws and actually apply them in real life? That's exactly what we'll explore in Chapter 5. Chapter 5. How to apply habits in real life. We've learned the 4 laws of behavior change, but knowledge without action doesn't transform us. The real question is, how do we actually live this out? This chapter is about turning principles into practice, so your habits work for you every single day. Step 1. Design your environment. Your environment shapes your behavior more than willpower ever could. Think about it. If your kitchen is filled with cookies, it's only a matter of time before you eat them. If your phone is on your desk, you'll reach for it. If your workspace is cluttered, your focus will suffer. So instead of relying on discipline, design your environment for success. Want to drink more water? Place bottles everywhere you'll see them. Want to practice guitar? Keep it on a stand in the living room. Want to read more? Leave books where you relax. James Clear calls this principle, environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. The reverse is also true. To break bad habits, remove the cues, delete distracting apps, keep junk food out of the house, move your TV remote to another room. Make good habits visible and bad habits invisible. Step 2. Use time and location. Cues vague intentions create weak habits. I'll work out tomorrow is too easy to ignore. Instead, use clear cues. I will behavior at time in location. For example, I will meditate at 7 a.m. in the living room. I will read at 9 p.m. in my bed. I will stretch after brushing my teeth in the bathroom. This level of clarity gives your brain a specific trigger, making the habit much more likely to happen. Step 3. Habit stacking. Want to make a habit stick? Tie it to something you already do. This is called habit stacking. Formula. After current habit, I will new habit. Examples. After I brush my teeth, I will floss. After I pour my morning coffee, I will read 10 pages. After I take off my shoes, I will stretch for 2 minutes. Stacking creates a chain of habits, each triggering the next. Over time, these chains become strong routines that carry you forward without effort. Step 4. Reframe your mindset. The way you see your habits matters. If you see them as punishment, you'll resist them. But if you link them to positive meaning, they become attractive. Working out, building energy, not draining it. Cleaning, creating peace, not wasting time. Saving money, buying freedom, not losing pleasure. The shift is small, but powerful. When you believe your habits are helping you become the person you want to be, they no longer feel like chores. Step 5. Track your progress. What gets measured gets managed. Tracking habits is one of the simplest ways to stay consistent. Every time you complete a habit, mark it down, on a calendar, in an app, or even by moving a paperclip from one jar to another. This gives you a visual record of progress. Each checkmark is proof that you're becoming the kind of person you want to be. And here's a golden rule. Never miss twice. If you skip one workout, fine. If you forget one reading session, no problem. But don't let it happen twice. Missing once is a mistake. Missing twice is the beginning of a new bad habit. Step 6. Use accountability. Sometimes willpower isn't enough. That's where accountability comes in. Tell a friend your goal. Sign a habit contract. Promise to pay a penalty if you slip. For example, if I skip the gym, I owe you $10. If I scroll social media during work, I lose my phone for the evening. When the cost of failure is immediate, your brain takes the habit seriously. Chapter 6. My personal habit journey. We've explored the principles, we've studied the science. But here's the truth. Reading a book or watching a video isn't enough. Change only happens when you apply what you've learned. So let me share how I personally used atomic habits to reshape my own life. These are real strategies I practiced, simple steps that helped me build good habits and eliminate bad ones. Building my workout habit. First, I wanted to exercise consistently. In the past, I always started strong and quit after a few weeks. This time I followed the system. Make it obvious. I used an implementation plan. I will work out at 6 a.m. in the living room. I also placed my dumbbells in the middle of the room so I couldn't ignore them. I even put up pictures of strong, healthy physiques around the house as visual cues. Make it attractive. To motivate myself, I bundled workouts with something I enjoyed. I listened to my favorite podcasts only while exercising. I also reframed my mindset. I stopped saying, I have to work out. Instead, I told myself, I get to build strength and health. Make it easy. I used the 2-minute rule. At first, my only requirement was to put on my workout clothes and stretch. That's it. Once I started, momentum usually carried me into a full workout. Make it satisfying. After every session, I tracked progress on a calendar and sent a picture of my workout stats to my partner. Crossing off the day gave me a sense of victory, and sharing it made me feel accountable. Over time, the identity shift happened. I stopped thinking, I'm trying to exercise. I started saying, I am someone who doesn't miss workouts. Building my reading habit. The second habit I wanted was consistent reading. My trigger became coffee. After I make coffee, I will read for 90 minutes. Coffee became the cue, and soon my brain linked the joy of coffee with the joy of reading. At first, I applied the 2-minute rule. Just read 1 page. That tiny start grew into 90 minutes of daily reading. I even created a specific environment. The balcony became my reading zone. Following James Clear's mantra, one space, one use, I made sure the balcony was for reading only, so my mind entered reading mode as soon as I sat there, breaking my social media addiction. Finally, I tackled my worst bad habit, wasting time on social media. Make it invisible. I deleted distracting apps and kept my phone in another room while working. Out of sight, out of mind. Make it unattractive. I reframed it as weakness. I told myself, consuming endlessly is easy, creating is hard. Do I want to be a consumer or a producer? Make it difficult. I added friction. If I wanted to check social media, I had to reinstall the apps. That extra step killed the impulse. Make it unsatisfying. I made a pact with my partner. If she caught me scrolling during work, I had to pay her $10. That small punishment made me think twice before picking up the phone. It wasn't easy, but over time I reclaimed hours of my day. Hours I could spend on meaningful habits instead of mindless scrolling. The bigger lesson. Through these changes, I realized something powerful. Habits aren't about discipline or motivation. They're about systems. When you design your environment, reframe your mindset, and use the 4 laws, good habits become natural, and bad habits lose their power. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up, even on the days you don't feel like it. As James Clear says, lost days hurt you more than successful days help you. Never miss twice. Your turn. Now it's your turn. Think about 1 good habit you want to build and 1 bad habit you want to break. Apply the 4 laws. Start small. Track your progress. Stay patient. Because in the end, success is not built in giant leaps. It's built 1 small habit at a time. And if you commit to this journey, even just 1% better each day, you'll look back a year from now and realize you are 37 times better. Final words. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Atomic Habits. If this inspired you, grab a copy of the book. It's packed with more stories, science, and strategies than I could fit here. And remember, focus on systems, not just goals. Design your environment. Be patient in the valley of disappointment, and never underestimate the power of small habits. Because your habits are not just things you do, they are who you become. See you in the next video.